Running with Maverick and Wolfman. Hey guys, thanks for listening and welcome back.
I said, welcome, welcome.
We'd like to throw a shout out thanks to Coach Chris and Coach Mike from Misericordia University for giving us sweet parking at the cross country invitational that we recently went to.
It was so VIP, they didn't even know
And
it.
big shout out to the men's and women's cross country team at Misericordia University. Go Cougs.
Cheers.
All right, let me ask you this, Wolfman. What did
Shoot.
you do as a workout today?
Today I ran an easy 8 because yesterday I ran a fartlek.
As far as an easy 8, it's funny that you say that because most people wouldn't put those two things together.
That's probably true, but I did just start phase 2. So phase 2 ups the ante a little bit. I started some workouts and some longer runs. So I'm a little sore this afternoon. How about you?
I did not do an easy 8. I did an easy 3, and it wasn't so easy.
It sounds
I,
great to me.
I'm in the early stages, so nothing is easy. I think I'm week 3 or 4.
Nice.
After taking a year off, every day has been better, but still challenging.
Sure.
So I would say my long run is up to 4.5 miles. I'm running pretty much every day. The long run endurance yet. I just don't have it yet. My body's not responding as quickly as it used to
Yeah, that's
back
the
in the
truth.
day.
Any races coming up?
I would love to do a race. My schedule is pretty nutty right now with all my kids in activities and sports and whatnot. So I'm trying to figure out where I can get in there for a race. What about you?
Yeah, I jumped into a half marathon and well, I guess now it's about 3 weeks because we're a week in September now.
3
So
weeks. How prepared would you say you are?
good. I ran a 14 miler Monday.
So
So
you already ran a half marathon.
I already ran it. We'll see how fast it goes.
That's what I want to do. I'm going to do the same thing as that. I'm going to run 14 to prepare for 13.1.
You should.
That's what I'm doing. I
I
don't
mean,
know
that's
about
poor
you.
advice. Don't do that.
Honestly, I had a conversation today with somebody and I said, you know what? I have aspirations of doing a marathon and I'm going to train for over a year in order to do a marathon.
Yeah,
And I said, if
I
my
think that's great.
calculations are correct, I have over 52 weeks to increase by 1 mile per week. Therefore, I will be over 26.2 miles.
Hey man, for the next big event, the next marathon I'm going to do, I started training in February. So now a lot of that was base work, but February to January is what, 11 months? So it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. And like we've talked about in the past, preparation is key. So I would rather
Oh,
be
for
over
sure.
prepared for the marathon or the half marathon or the 10K. I would rather be way over prepared than to be underprepared and experience what I went through in that last 5K or two 5Ks ago that I did. The terrible
Yeah.
experience.
So I think that segues into one of the questions you sent me very well. I cannot commit to a 24-week training cycle. Can I do a shorter cycle? Yeah, you can. The
Next question.
training, yeah, next question. Huh. No, the backbone schedule that I use, the formula that I use, it has the 4 phases in blocks, and then you can tailor the phases based on how many weeks you have to prepare for your race, and it will tell you how many weeks you should spend in each phase.
Do you modify that to your own liking then? Or do you
I
strictly
do.
stick? Most experienced runners end up modifying programs to some degree, or they're very into communicating with their coaches about how
Mhm.
to individualize the plan because things come up, injuries come up,
Yeah.
family comes up, events come up, and you need
Mhm.
to modify some things along the way.
Absolutely.
Tailoring a program, changing a program, not going with a regimented program. If you can't commit to 24 weeks, if you've got a busy home life, if you've got 8 kids,
Or 30.
30, if you've got 30 children and you travel every weekend, you're probably not going to be doing the same schedule as someone who works from home, right? It's a different schedule. So yeah,
That's
definitely modify it based on how you're feeling and what you can do. A lot of this stuff comes down to knowing how your body works. I particularly like to do a lot more pickups, interval training, tempo runs, things like that. I just preference that. I would do that every day if I could over just distance running or long runs, but you can't do that every day. So you have to do a little bit of each. So I like
right.
to do some distance runs. I like to do some tempo runs. I like to do some interval training. I like to do a little bit of everything. And I really enjoy the quicker days, the days that I could run a fast mile or a fast 2 miles back to back, 800s, 400s, anything like that. And that works better for me. So even now I'm doing some of that work. I'm just picking up pace randomly in the middle of my run. What's that called?
Fartlek.
Oh, nice. The word of the day.
Word of the day.
So I'm just picking up pace randomly, holding it for whatever I can. It's not max effort, it's sub max, but it is picking up the pace. It is building my endurance, my ability to run faster.
Sweet deal. Sweet deal.
What about yourself? What kind of
Um,
stuff are you doing in your current phase, young
this
man?
current phase is a lot of threshold, so it's a lot of tempo and higher paced things, which I usually respond well to. I like the tempos. I like marathon paced runs, which are slightly slower tempo runs, but for longer duration. I respond well to those. That's what a lot of this phase is. So I look forward to this phase the most. Phase two.
When I was doing a lot of training for just road racing 5Ks, I did a lot of tempo runs. And like I said, I was training for 5K, so I'd be doing a mile or 2 miles, and then sometimes mile repeats, and that just worked awesome. I couldn't believe how good shape I got in. I was only running probably 5 days a week, maybe 5 miles a day.
Very, very nice. I did an unofficial poll on Facebook. The consensus is fall running is preferred. Not one person voted for winter. So I have a feeling that only our Pennsylvania listeners answered the poll, but summer and fall were the leaders, and fall won by a landslide.
Come on, we've got listeners all over the place. Somebody up in Green Bay probably was answering that question.
Well, they didn't put winter.
Winter? What are you, crazy? I don't want to run the winter. All that snow.
That's the only season we got.
Yeah,
Very big.
fall's definitely my favorite. Cross country season starts in fall. It's just a great time to run. It's crisp in the air, and the leaves start
Same.
coming down, changing colors. And let's be honest. I mean, who likes to run in 90-degree weather with 100% humidity, or 20-degree days with wind chills of 0, -2? It's a little bit much. And we're only talking from experience because we've run in all that.
Yeah, I too prefer the fall. Let's do the hydration one because I think we'll have a little
Oh,
fun debate here on the
snap.
coffee aspect.
Here we go, people. Next question.
How important is hydration before, during, and after a run slash workout? How much should I be drinking? And can I hydrate with coffee? Um,
Yes.
so we should break that down probably, right?
No. Yes. Move on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coffee. Oh.
Most of these are yeses. Just check
Yeah.
yes and move on.
Hydration important before, during, and after the workout. How much should you hydrate?
Well, time out. During depends on during, because you don't always need to drink
Oh,
during
that's
a
true. Yeah.
workout or a race.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do not typically drink during a workout unless I'm running over 12 miles. And then I will drink Gatorade that I carry with me every 2 to 3 miles, depending on how far I'm running.
So I don't drink during workouts or races or anything. I never drink during runs, which is probably one of my biggest fears with the marathon, because I have to train this year how to run and drink, and I'm not a fan of it. My body's not a fan of it, so I do have to work on that. So, tangent here, when I started running as a freshman, remember when my brother told me that I wasn't any good way back in those days? I would cramp every time I ran. So I was a multi-sport athlete, and in other sports, you just did not do things the same as in running. So I would cramp literally every time I went out to run, and I would drink more, thinking that I wasn't drinking enough. and that would cause more cramping. So I'd get these side stitches every time, one side, two side, maybe it'd go away a little bit. The worst ever was I felt like I ripped part of my abs, but anywho, it was not fun. And what I found out was that I was actually drinking too much, too close, and I was eating too close to running. So I had to decrease my intake of food to about 3 hours before is where I would stop eating. And then that would allow me to process the food for running. And then I would change what I ate as well. Couldn't eat heavy stuff, couldn't eat anything crazy. So I modified my diet immensely in order to make it work. For cross country particularly, it was worse in cross country than track, but track was still, I still had to watch
Mhm.
when I ate and drank. But it's crazy important.
Yeah. Yeah. They give you a cup, and I will guarantee no matter how skilled you are and how many times you've done it, you're going to choke on the water through one of those cups. Either that or just, I'm not good at it.
When you're running, you mean?
Yeah. When you're running. Yeah. They hand you a cup, and there's a way to pinch it. And it always takes me a stop or two to perfect it again. When I train run, it's just a Camelback water bottle that I carry in my hand. And you don't have to try to regulate how much is going in your mouth based on how you're pinching, and you're not like grabbing it from somebody and spilling half of it. And
You didn't
but
feel like running with that water bottle?
nah, I've thought about it. I think I'm too particular to carry it with me when I'm racing. But we'll see. We'll see. Because I
But if you
prefer
train, time out, if you train 20
yeah,
miles or 24 miles or 26 miles with it,
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
psychologically,
I didn't say it was logical. How much should you be drinking? I get that question all the time, even from people that don't run. I'll tell you my opinion on it, and you can tell me if you concur. So I tell people, there's all kinds of things you might Google search, and you might find recommendations of certain ounces. If you're drinking enough water, your urine should be pale yellow. If it's clear, you're drinking too much. If it's dark yellow, you're not drinking enough.
that's not what I tell people at all. I love that you went there, but that's not what I tell people.
How else are
Uh,
they going to regulate it?
I usually tell people to see a dietitian and talk with a dietitian, the expert on food, and discuss how much they should be drinking, how much they are drinking. And I think that most people are a pretty good judge themselves on whether they're hydrated or not. There's always exceptions, but I think a lot of people are pretty good at knowing I drank enough today, I drank less than I normally drink, and people don't all drink the same thing. I have family members who barely drink. They're like camels. They go out into the hot sun and they run and they do all kinds of stuff and they don't drink anything barely all day. And then they drink coffee. And then I have other people like myself who drink a lot. When I go to a restaurant, I have a water, I have a soda, I have a coffee. I'll order as many drinks as I can. It looks like there's 5 people sitting at my seat. No, that's fine. Leave the pitcher. I will drink all the water, I promise. What's the weirdest drink you ever had on a run?
So there's a race I do every year. I'm going to do it again this year. So this will be the 24th time I've done it, the 23rd year in a row.
What are you like,
And
25 years old?
yeah, pretty much. Been running since I could walk. But there's this one place you go by, and it's a bar. So they're always handing out beer. For the first, like, I don't know, 20 years, I never took any of it. And then the first year I ran it just for funsies, I was like, yeah, that's probably the craziest thing I drank during a run. What about you?
No, I typically don't drink on the run. Doesn't mix well with me, so I tend to not. Like I said, over the years, I've definitely figured out how my body works, how to perfect getting the job done without cramping, without getting side stitches, without all that stuff. I definitely have figured out that the body is basically a tool that you're working with. Imagine it's a car and you're taking care of it. So you got to do what's right for it. You got to do everything, keep it in check so that it will work well for you. And that's how I operate with it as far as running and racing goes. I'm not going to eat junk. I'm not going to drink garbage. I'm going to keep it real regimented to what I know is
Yeah.
going to work for me to make my system work well. And that's where I found the most success. But that takes time to figure out. You don't just wake up one
It
day and go,
does.
I'm a runner and I'm going to run fast and I'm going to eat well and I'm going to drink right. And It's a
Yep.
process. Even if you're not a runner, if you're just exercising in general. I mean, if you drank a bunch of junk food or ate a bunch of junk food and then drank soda, you'd get the gurgly stomach going, and you're definitely not going to get a possibly not going to get a full workout. And if you get a full workout,
Right.
it's not going to be as good as it could have been.
Right. Right. Yeah. And for reference, this beer is maybe 3 ounces and you spill half of it. Can you hydrate with coffee? I say yes. Well,
But
depends on what you put in your coffee. I drink my coffee black, so it's basically colored water.
it's not true.
So
It's
yeah,
not true at all.
yeah. There's not that much caffeine.
Co- all right, so coffee, they go back and forth when they do research on it. They
They
first said
do.
it
They
was
do.
it was that.
Oh, they do. They absolutely do. They go back and forth with it.
So I know you're joking, but essentially the studies go back and forth, and they said that it dehydrates you. Now they're saying if you drink enough of it, it hydrates you. Back and forth. There's arguments on each side. It's good for you. It's bad for you. I think once again it comes down to knowing your body well enough. You drink an extra large coffee before you marathon. That's very
Yep.
specific to you. I don't think that we could take 100 people and get 51 of them to do that well.
It's because we get 99 of them to do it well.
Maybe we could. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that in the future, but I don't know that that would work out. You for sure. Obviously, it works for you. Me, that'd be
Maybe
terrible. You love your Dunkin'.
I do. Not even going to debate that. That's true.
No, but like I said, it just depends on the person. So, but make a long story short, if a patient came into my clinic and asked me that question, I would say you need to talk to a dietitian. Hydration is very important. You can usually drink coffee in most instances, but there are people that are not supposed to drink coffee. So right away, those people that'd be out. There wouldn't be allowed to drink
Right.
coffee. But if you can drink
Right.
coffee and you're drinking it, there's definitely too much at some point because let's be honest, there's too much of anything. I mean, water is what
Right.
primarily you're supposed to be ingesting. So at
Yep.
some
Yep.
point, there's gonna be too much water, too much sports drink, whatever. There's always going to be too much of something. So you do need to get back to the basics to some degree. But
Yeah.
that's
And
why a
there,
dietitian helps out tremendously.
right. And there is no substitute for water. Water is water.
Math is math.
Is that what that said? I couldn't read that. It was so blurry. As an average, I'm moving on to the next question because that was fun.
Next question, Wolfman.
As an average runner, not an elite runner, should I focus on mileage
Are
or
you
consistency?
average? You're average now, huh?
I guess.
Boston qualifier first attempt is now average. Okay, continue, average runner.
Yep. Should I focus on mileage or consistency? I say consistency. You focus on the consistency, you get that down, and then you can start focusing on mileage. That's my opinion.
I pretty much agree with you on that. I think that if you are a person that's very number oriented, you're going to focus on mileage. So if
Yeah.
you're someone that has to go, oh, I have to run 8 miles a day or 6 miles a day at 6 a.m. If you've got some kind of regimented number that you have to run with, then that's what you're going to do. That's fine. If you can do more consistency and just go, oh, I'm just going to run 6 days a week instead of right now I'm running 4 days a week and I'm just going to get whatever mileage I can get depending on the day. So it fluctuates. That's fine too. A lot of times, if you just do what you can do, your numbers will work out, your quality will work out. Now, that doesn't work out when you say, I'm going to run a marathon and I'm going to do 3 miles once a week. That's obviously going to lead to an injury or a pretty
Yeah.
terrible
Yeah.
sore marathon. Am I going to be sore?
Maybe you should listen to our last episode to figure that out. No, not the last one, the one before that.
Maybe we should go back 2 episodes, listen to that one.
I just listened to them all because I can't remember which one that was.
Yeah, let's be honest. Just listen to all of them.
Yeah. My son asked me this one. This is not one you sent me. I just gave him a book to read and he read it, and then he asked me afterwards, Wolf Boy Jr. That is
Wait.
what I
Wolf
thought
Boy
the better
Jr. or Wolfman Jr.?
Wolfman Jr. Son of a cut that out.
Say it again.
Wolfman Jr. All right, let's start this over. So I gave my son a book to read about running, and in it talked about Steve Prefontaine and the movies that were made about him. So he asked me which one I preferred. I prefer without limits myself. How about you?
Yes. You know, I would say between all the books that I've read on running and historical stories and all the films that I've watched, they're all good in some way, shape, or form. But I definitely have my favorites.
What's your this? Oh, now I'm tangenting. What's your favorite running movie?
Oh, my favorite running movie. Yeah, I'd have to probably say Chariots of Fire is my favorite movie as far as running goes. Without Limits is definitely my favorite pre-movie.
Yeah,
They're close though. They're very close.
yeah. I think my favorite running movie is Saint Ralph, but my
Oh, it's a
favorite
great
pre.
film.
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking of that movie. I kind of
yeah.
forgot about that.
Now I'll go to that last question. As an older runner, can I focus on mileage, threshold runs, and fartleks? Uh, there's the word of the day again,
Can you spell
and
that for
build my.
us?
I don't know if I can. And build my fitness level. What do you think about that?
If you're an older runner, I mean, I'm going to make up an age because we don't have an age on this person. So I'm just going to say if you're a person that hasn't run seriously in your younger years and you're starting in your late 30s, early 40s, maybe 50s, your body has to adjust to running. So right away, just doing what you can do in the beginning is where you're going to be. Once you get to the next level, you can start incorporating some of those things you just mentioned, fartleks and interval training, threshold, all that kind of stuff, tempo runs. You can change things up and start doing different workouts. But first thing you got to do is just lay a base, a foundation, just like a house. You need to put some foundation down so that you have something to stand on and work with. So just running in the beginning and then cross training a little bit is probably going to be a good idea so you don't get injured and then start those kind of runs. And can you do those? Absolutely. Absolutely. They're great things to do. But first, you got to figure out what those words even mean,
Yeah, yeah,
how to spell them.
right. So I agree with you, especially if you're starting from scratch. The way I read it is they already have a base level and they're trying to get to the next level. So I read it as though they already had the base, and I would say you absolutely could. They're going to be less intense than interval training or repeats, but they're still going to be higher than an easy run. So they're going to be something nice that you're getting that heart rate up. And yeah, I would say you could build your fitness level with that. But I wouldn't scrap the easy run for those. I wouldn't go out and run threshold runs every day. You're going to injure yourself. You're going to break down.
Right. You can't do it every day. Like I said, I like doing that kind of stuff, but I can't do it every
Right.
day. No one could. As far as coaching styles and different workout routines, I mean, we had 4 different distance coaches in 4 years.
Yeah.
So at our
Yeah.
college, we had 4 different distance coaches over the course of 4 years. And the concepts, the training styles, the routines, the workouts, everything was totally different from person to person. Now, I would say our last coach probably worked the best for my particular running style. And when I got out of college, I modified that even more. It still
Right.
wasn't quite 100% on. Once I modified it, PRs were happening one after the other. Like once you get it down, you start getting faster and faster. That's pretty much how it went for me anyway. All right, guys, thanks for listening to Running with Maverick and Wolfman. Maverick and Wolfman, running out. Remember to like and share on Facebook, follow on Instagram. Remember to support the show by hitting that little link that says support. And thank you to all the people that have supported the show so far. You're the
Yeah.
best. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered professional medical healthcare advice. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the hosts or the management.